We can get Senator Watson in here. See if we can locate Senator Watson. Okay, there's Senator Watson. And he's here, but Senator Kagan's leaving. Okay. 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 Okay, guys. Let's just go through this list and see. Let's get through this list as long as we, to leave again enough time for this other issue. But Stacy, let's just start with you and just go down the list here.
Okey-dokey.
Delegate Edelson, House Bill 71.
House Bill 71, Education, Holocaust Education Assistance Grant Program established. This bill establishes the Holocaust Education Assistance Grant Program in the Maryland State Department of Education to assist local school systems with Holocaust education in public schools. Grants may be used only for Holocaust-related teacher training or teaching materials. The governor must include an appropriation of $50,000 in the annual budget bill for the program. There are no amendments.
Okay. We're going to do a roll call on this one, and there were questions during the hearing. Questions, discussion, motions? Is there a motion? Okay, favorable to Senator Brooks. Is there a second? Second from Senator Attar. Any further discussion? And there's no amendments. And Senator Washington, you'd like to weigh in on this?
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember when we heard it. I think
We heard it just yesterday.
yeah. So I'm sort of, can we just hold it? Because I'm not aware of, I'd like to know, in my thoughts, I was like, well, we have other programs like this, so I would like to hold it.
So, again,
We could do that, because I just wasn't.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, these, again, last few days of session, we're just got to do what we can do, and, that's just the way it is. Okay, we're going to go to Devin on House Bill 128.
House Bill 128, Climate Change Adaptation and Mitigation, Total Assessed Cost of Greenhouse Gas Emissions Study and Reports. House Bill 128 is the cross-file to Senate Bill 149. This bill requires the comptroller, in coordination with the Department of Commerce and the Maryland Department of the Environment, to conduct a study to assess the total cost of greenhouse gas emissions in the state. The comptroller may hire a consultant to conduct the study. By December 1st, 2026, the comptroller, Commerce, and MDE must report to specified committees of the General Assembly on the total assessed cost of GHG emissions in the state based upon the findings of the study. The bill establishes requirements for the content of the report. There is an amendment from Senator Hester on page 3 of your packet that is technical and conforms the House bill to the Senate bill.
It's just to conform, it would just, one more time, it conforms the two bills.
So,
Yeah. I'm sorry, Devin reiterated.
So-
The amendment does what?
so the amendment conforms the House bill to the Senate bill, and it's really technical in nature. It just kind of switches around the various departments and their ability to, who is going to do what in the study.
Okay, we
It's the
passed.
cross-file of what was called the Renew Act.
Okay, the cross-file was Senator Hester, a bill that we did
Correct.
pass. So, okay, let's just take the amendment, technical amendment. It's a cross-file of the Hester bill that actually ended up being a study for the most part. In any event, is there a motion on the amendment from Senator Hester?
I would move to conform the House bill.
Well, just the amendment will do it. So you're moving the amendment. Is there a second on the amendment? Okay, all in favor of this amendment from Senator Hester, raise your hand. Now we have, again, House Bill 128 as amended in front of us, which conforms it to the bill that we did pass out previously. Is there a motion from Senator Hester? Senator Hester moves the bill as amended favorable. Senator Augustine is a second. Discussion. Okay, let's just, again, although it was a study, let's do a roll call because I think there was,
All right, Senator Kagan. Senator Kagan, yes. Senator Augustine. Senator Augustine, yes. Senator Gallion. Senator Gallion, no. Senator Watson. Senator Watson, yes. Senator Attar. Senator Attar, yes. Senator Brooks.
Yes.
Senator Brooks, yes. Senator Carozza.
No.
Senator Cardoza, no. Senator Hester?
Yes.
Senator Hester, yes. Senator Washington? Senator Washington? Senator Washington, yes. Senator Fountain?
Yes, bill carries 8-2. Next up, House Bill 222. Again, this is a cross-file. We had a lot of discussion, if you recall, of the cross-file from Senator Karen Lewis-Young. So, Devin, and I think we've kind of resolved some of the misunderstandings and miscommunications on this one finally.
Yes.
So rehash us, again, House Bill 222.
House Bill 222, Public Safety, Fuel Gas Piping Systems, and Corrugated Stainless Steel Tubing, Prohibitions and Study. House Bill 222 is the cross-file to Senate Bill 175. The bill prohibits the sale, transfer, distribution of non-arc resistant jacketed corrugated stainless steel tubing. A person who violates the prohibition is subject to a civil penalty of up to $1,000. In addition, the bill establishes a civil penalty of up to $1,000 for a violation of provisions of the current law that prohibits the use of the non-arc resistant jacketed CSST. So there are amendments on page 4 of the packet, and the amendments require the Department of Labor and the Office of State Fire Marshal to jointly conduct the study. If you recall, the House went with the State Fire Marshal. This committee wanted the Department of Labor. The committees have split the difference and said we'll have both the Department of Labor and the Office of State Fire Marshal to jointly conduct the study. And the appropriate tubing to be prohibited is non-arc resistant jacketed corrugated stainless steel tubing.
Right, just to cut to the chase, remember we had these two issues. One was the definition, and the other was, does we let Department of Labor versus fire? So we've resolved what the actual correct definition should be, and the House has just made it now a joint study as opposed to Labor versus the Fire Commission. Now they'll vote jointly. So there was really the two issues we dealt with, and that is what is in front of us now, which seems to be a bit of a compromise, but we did get the correct definition. Is correct? I don't want to. Okay, with that said, any motion on the amendments? Yes.
But when we say the right one, our Senate sponsor is okay now?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody's.
Yes.
Yep.
We're good?
Senate sponsor is
Okay.
fine.
Good. Yeah, I move the amendments.
Okay, so Senator Augustine moves those amendments. Second from Senator Brooks. Again, any further discussion about this bill? We did spend time on it on the front end on the Senate bill. Okay, all in favor of these amendments, raise your hand. All opposed? Amendments carry. Now we've got House Bill 222 as amended in front of us. Is there a motion? Senator Augustine moves favorable. Second from Senator Brooks. Discussion? Okay. All in favor of House Bill 222 as amended, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Let's next go to House Bill 226 from Anne Arundel County. Stacy.
House Bill 226, and you'll see at the end of the list is also Senate Bill 569. So Anne Arundel County Public Schools school schedule options. This bill authorizes the Anne Arundel County Board of Education to choose to operate all public schools in the county using a scheduling model that eliminates early dismissal days to allow for less than 180 school days if the minimal hours of attendance in a school year under the state regulations are met. If the Anne Arundel County Board uses a scheduling model that results in schools being open for fewer than 180 days, the board must, 1, offer hourly rate employees an opportunity to make up the lost wages through other duties before the beginning of the next school year, and 2, report by June 30th, 2026 and 2027 to the State Board of Education and the General Assembly on the operation of schools during the preceding school year that used an alternative schedule, summarizing each day a school operating under the alternative scheduling model was open and the number of hours per day that the school was open with students in attendance. The bill takes effect July 1, 2025 and terminates on June 30th, 2027. There are no amendments for the House version. Senator Guile has offered amendments for Senate Bill 569 to conform it to the House bill on third reader.
Okay. Okay, just one more time. Amendments on 226 or?
So there's no amendments on House Bill 226.
But we've got the Senate bill. Okay.
Yes.
So just on House Bill 226, local Anne Arundel County bill, is there a motion? There are no amendments on 226. Okay, move favorable is from Senator Carrozza. Is there a second from Senator Watson? All in favor of the Anne Arundel County Bill HB 226, raise your hand. All opposed? That motion carries unanimously. And then back on the Senate bill from Anne Arundel 569 on the bottom of page 2. Who wants to move just to take those amendments that conform the two bills? Is there a motion to do that? Senator Carrozza. Is there a second from Senator Watson? All in favor of putting those bills in a conforming posture, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Let's go to Delegate Crosby, House Bill 270, cross-file of Senate Bill 116. Devin.
House Bill 270, Data Center Impact Analysis and Report. House Bill 270 is a cross-file to Senate Bill 116. The bill requires the Maryland Department of the Environment, Maryland Energy Administration, and University of Maryland School of Business, in coordination with the Department of Legislative Services, to conduct an analysis of the likely environmental, energy, and economic impacts of data center development in the state. The LS must synthesize the respective assessments completed by the agencies and the University of Maryland School of Business into a final report and submit the report to the Governor and General Assembly by September 1, 2026. The bill takes effect July 1, 2025 and terminates June 30, 2027. So in the House bill, the House kept the Maryland Energy Administration in the bill. The Maryland Energy Administration wants to be in the bill and has funding to assist with the study.
Okay. Any questions for Devin on this piece of legislation? In 116, we already moved out.
Yes, you've moved that
Yeah,
over to
Senator
the House. And-
Augustine, question.
So we're amending this one?
No, we would not be amending
We're
this
not
one.
amending this one.
270 stays the way it is?
Correct, and 116 will
Would
come back,
require,
an amendment to add
Or-
MEA.
is it, 116's already over there?
Correct,
So we would have to like,
Concur.
Concur.
Eventually.
Correct.
Right.
I'll move favorable.
Okay, so Senator Augustine moves favorable on House Bill 270. Second from Senator Attar. Any discussion on 270? Okay, all in favor of House Bill 270? Delegate Crosby, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Let's go to House Bill 376, Devin.
House Bill 376, Maryland Cybersecurity Council membership alterations. House Bill 376 is a cross-file to Senate Bill 294. The bill requires the governor, instead of the Attorney General, to appoint various members of the Maryland Cybersecurity Council and invite as appropriate representatives from specified federal agencies to serve on the council. Additionally, instead of the Attorney General or the Attorney General's designee serving as the chair of the council, beginning October 1, 2025, and every 2 years thereafter, the council must elect the chair from among the members of the council. The bill also expands the membership of council to include the executive director of the Cybersecurity Association, Inc., or the executive director's designee. So in the Senate bill that is in the possession of the House struck the 2 additional representatives designated. They were called designated by the university system with due consideration of geographic diversity, and substituted the Dean of the University of Maryland Global Campus's School of Cybersecurity and IT, and added 2 representatives designated by the Chancellor of the University of Maryland College Park. The amendments on page 5 of your packet would conform the House bill to the Senate bill.
Senator Hester, are you familiar with this particular change? Or
So I did send this reprint to Senator Hester, and the senator was okay with that amendment.
I think we should defer to the House. Is that what this does?
That's exactly what this does.
Yeah, because we sent it over a heavily amended bill, and they made these 2 small tweaks, and so I'd move that we concur with the House, if that's okay.
Okay, so the motion is to adopt. Yeah, absolutely, Senator Augustine.
So, but are there others other than College Park and Global Campus? Like,
Yes.
I just, why them?
So when the bill came in, and you amended the bill, you actually added additional members as well. You added a slew of additional members.
Okay.
Okay. So you added Bowie State University, Johns Hopkins, Morgan State, University of Maryland, Baltimore, University which was written, University of Maryland, Baltimore, University of Baltimore County, University of Maryland College Park, the Dean of the University of Maryland Global Campus, we just talked about, the Director of Cash Campaign of Maryland, the Executive Director of Economic Action Maryland, one Bank Chief Information Security Officer, one Hospital Chief Information Security Officer. I could,
Buying the existing membership of the council.
Correct.
So these people are currently sitting on the council.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand the explanation of adding College Park and Global Campus right now. Or did I mishear that?
so you did not mishear that. University of Maryland Global Campus was not in the bill originally, so they were added. And instead of the amendment that this committee put on the bill to have the university system add 2 additional members, looking with the eye towards geographic diversity, they struck the eye towards geographic diversity and just had the system add 2 additional members.
The House did.
The House did, correct.
Okay, here, why don't we do
Okay,
this?
Okay, I'm sorry.
We could hold, because, I want to get through some more, but we're either good or we can just, jam it out tomorrow. We're going to vote again tomorrow. Good, okay, so why don't you make that motion, Senator Hester? What was the motion?
It would just be a straight favorable.
Straight favorable on House Bill 376, so it's straight favorable. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? House Bill 376 carries. House Bill 427.
House Bill 427, State Board of Public Accountancy, emeritus status. House Bill 427 is the cross-file of Senate Bill 148. This bill authorizes the State Board of Public Accountancy to place a licensee on emeritus status if the applicant meets specified requirements. Additionally, the board is required to reinstate the license of an individual on emeritus status under certain circumstances. The bill takes effect July 1, 2025. There is an amendment on page 13 of your packet. The amendment conforms this bill, the House bill, to the Senate bill that you passed out and makes a technical correction.
Okay, and that Senate bill passed, I believe, unanimously out of this committee. Okay, the amendment would put it in the posture of the Senate bill that came out of here. A motion from Senator Augustine, second from Senator Attar. Again, this is a cross-file that did pass this committee unanimously. All in favor of House Bill 427 with that amendment, raise your hand. All opposed, that motion carries.
Who's bill as amended?
What is it? Okay. Okay, we got, actually, I missed one. I have an old list. Who says that, yours or?
No, it's Stacy's, but just finish what you're doing.
Okay, let's go to House Bill 747.
Well, you haven't voted, right?
Okay, I'm sorry. All in favor of the motion? Raise your hand. All opposed? That motion does carry. My apologies. Let's go to House Bill 747, Delegate Guyton.
Do you want to go back to?
Okay, yeah, let's go to House Bill 426.
House Bill 426, election law, post-election tabulation audits, risk-limiting audits. This bill requires the State Board of Elections, in collaboration with local boards of elections, to conduct a specified risk-limiting audit following each statewide election. In addition, the Bill 1 authorizes risk-limiting audits following special general elections. 2 modifies an automated software audit requirement so that it is instead an authorization, and 3 repeals an existing requirement to conduct a specified manual audit following each statewide general election. There is one amendment offered on page 11 of your packet, and this just conforms this bill to Senate Bill 313 as passed by the Senate.
Cross-file with Senator Washington.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion from the cross-file sponsor, Senator Washington, second from the Vice Chair on that amendment. All in favor of that amendment, raise your hand. All opposed, the amendment carries. Now have House Bill 426 as amended in front of us. Is there a motion? Senator Washington, favorable, second Vice Chair Kagan. All in favor, House Bill 427 as amended, raise your hand.
426.
426. 426. Raise your hand. All opposed? That motion carries. Folks, why don't we stop there, and everything else on this list we'll put on the next list tomorrow. What I do want to do before we have to go back to the floor is Devin and Senator Hester, You can sit there. So as I said earlier, we had Secretary McElwain here about a month ago on a Maryland Department of Environment piece of legislation from the department on the Building Energy Performance Standard topic. And we did not move that bill, the Senate bill. And the Senate bill was Senate Bill 430. Oh, not 430, Senate Bill, I don't know, what was the cross file? Well, it's House Bill 49. This, yeah, Senate Bill 256 was the cross file. We heard that February 13th, actually, a month and a half ago. So we did not move Senate Bill 256. In the meantime, the departmental bill on the House side was House Bill 49. And the House did make a number of amendments to the bill, changed it dramatically, and sent it to us. And there was, I think, some sense that we should kind of maybe do our own thing. And that's what we have in front of us now. So Senator Hester and Devin worked on some bills with some stakeholders, some locals. And so this is, again, like we did before, just I will characterize as a work session, just to walk through a reprint. And this also has been, a lot of discussion with Chair Corman and E&T. So with that background, Devin, why don't you just, we have a reprint. You can obviously take this home, but I just want to get this on the table. And so, Devin, why don't you maybe walk through, and Senator Hester has been very involved with this as well. And then we'll just take some questions until we get to about 4:30, and then we're just going to have to go over to the chamber. Okay, so who would like to start? Yeah.
This is what you're proposing?
Yeah, I would say tentatively, this is kind of what's on the table, but,
for us to
we'll
work
see.
on.
Let's
Okay.
get some issues in discussion. We've got folks in the audience that are interested in this piece of legislation. So Devin, why don't you, or Senator Hester, just.
I will.
Devin, why don't you do it? Just go through the bill and we'll see where we land around.
Okay.
4:30.
House Bill 49, Environment, Building, Energy Performance Standards, Alterations and Analyses. I've provided you with a reprint of the bill, very hot off the presses at your desk. And so I will attempt to walk through the bill line by line, or page by page. And so what I would like to say at the outset is Senator Hester has been working with the House and working with the stakeholders and has amendments that significantly alter the provisions of the bill. So here is what the amendments do. So they maintain exemptions and exclusions. They maintain provisions that require the MDE to do the annual reporting fee of $100 per covered building, and they alter the study requirements. So if you would begin on page 4 of 21 on your reprint. At the top, it begins an exemption for sensitive, what they call, they're called SCIOs, sensitive compartmented information facility operated by an agency, basically defense agencies, U.S. GSA, Department of Defense, National Security Agency, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, any other U.S. intelligence agency, and the state. So those are exempted in the bill from the provisions of BEPS. If you go to page 7 of 21, that's the section where the department will be allowed to include an annual reporting fee of $100 per covered building, adjusted by inflation to cover the administrative costs under the program. If you continue on to page 9 of 21, in page 9 of 21, it clarifies that the Department of the Environment may certify a building energy performance program adopted by a county on or before April 1, 2025, and waive the requirement for covered buildings in that county to comply with the statewide program when the county annually submits to the department a complete list of covered buildings, including their energy use intensity, direct greenhouse gas emissions, and compliance status with the county program. A county administering a building energy performance standard program certified by the department may take appropriate actions to enforce those standards, including establishing an alternative compliance pathway, complying for energy use, imposing collecting alternative compliance fees up to the same amount and in the same manner that the department has under the Building Energy Performance Standard Program. If you continue to page 11 of 21, here is another set of exemptions, excluding the energy use and greenhouse gas emissions related to the production of steam for sterilization in a healthcare facility, lab, assisted living and nursing facility, military building, or building used for life sciences, and excluding the energy use and greenhouse gas emissions related to the generation of backup power at those same facilities.
Okay, yes, Senator Gallion.
So healthcare facility, that would cover hospitals and also things, would that also include, say, like patient firsts and stuff like, I mean, well, of course, that'd be under the square footage, I guess, but that's pertaining to hospitals.
So there is actually a separate exemption for hospitals in the bill as well.
Okay, thanks.
Senator Hester, were you wanted to weigh in here on anything
No.
that Devin has said so far?
So on page 4, I think we skipped the very first bit. There's a whole lot of exemptions in lines 1 through 9,
That's right.
in addition to where Devin said earlier. And so that includes the healthcares, the labs, assisted living, nursing facilities, military buildings, and life sciences at the very top there of page 4.
All right.
And then I'm reading this live with you guys also. I think that the idea of page 9 was really to exempt Montgomery County because they're already doing this. I'm not sure it's drafted exactly right on page 9, but that's why we're going to have tonight to look at it.
Yeah.
But
And
broadly,
Montgomery
yeah.
County is the only current county that has a BEPS program, and it's actually in many respects in conflict with the state, so that's problematic. That's the only other BEPS program currently existing. But Senator Gallion, back to.
On page 11, I noticed under 6, it's lined out critical infrastructure. Why was that taken out of the exemptions?
I actually cannot answer that question, Senator.
We'd have to can I get back to you on that?
Sure. We want to get the questions out here again, like we did with the prior bill. Okay, Devin, back to you.
So if you would, then go ahead and skip to, there's a lot of crossouts. Skip down all the way to page 16 of 21. So this section continues the exemptions for counties that would do the following. The county, I think I did go through this, covered buildings, including their energy use, direct greenhouse. These are the things that the county would have to report to MDE in order to certify, if you will, that their program meets the standards of the statute, of the existing statute.
Keep going.
Okay, the final changes. So it's referenced on page 19 of 21, Senator Gallion. That is where the hospital exemption is added at the top of page Bill 19 of 21. And then finally, the study language is new. And so I will go right through it. Department of Environment shall conduct an analysis of the potential cost and benefits of building energy performance standards policy options featuring direct emissions reduction requirements, energy use intensity requirements, and a combination of both requirements that describe for each scenario program design considerations, greenhouse gas emissions reduction potential, direct emissions reduction potential, overall energy savings potential, peak energy savings potential, implementation costs to building owners in the department, life cycle costs of the building and equipment, and cost effectiveness for building owners, program implementation cost and complexity, and a potential per building cap of costs to be incurred in the total cost impacts of that cap. Also requires the department to do an analysis of the capabilities offered by online registry and artificial intelligence, including human involvement, for the purpose of streamlining administration of building energy performance standards, and in consultation with the Maryland Energy Administration and the Department of Housing and Community Development, an analysis that includes a summary of all grants and loans currently available to building owners to use for renovations required to comply with existing building energy performance standards, regulations, and the total potential available funds from those sources, and alternatives and recommendations relating to economic infeasibility, including consideration of usual business costs, incremental implementation costs, simple payback, life cycle cost analysis, alternative compliance fees and percentages, and potential methods of adjusting evaluation criteria based on the availability of funding and financing. In order for them to conduct this analysis, the department shall identify policy considerations and recommendations, including potential scenarios, including a recommendation from calculating an alternative compliance fee for energy use intensity on covered building owners based upon a simple payback period that takes into account any financial incentives offered to the building owners, and recommendations on how to address covered buildings that, despite any grants and loans identified and all available incentives, including the avoidance of penalties and fees, still would not achieve compliance for the greenhouse gas emissions reductions and targets, and then to calculate building benchmarks based upon benchmarking data reported to the department in accordance with 12-1602B of the environment article. That report would be due December 31st, 2026. So in essence, the bill as amended by the House has been stricken, and most of the provisions that would have required covered buildings in the MDE to do things have been placed in the study.
Let me throw out a first question, because I know one of the issues has come up, had to do with, like, our biotech companies, AstraZeneca. I just have to put it out there. So the House, I'm looking at specifically page 19, lines 5 through 7, that language that is stricken there, and I think also at the bottom of page 3, lines 30, 31. So was this in the product that came from the House of Delegates and we are taking out? I just want to make sure that I understand that particular topic. Senator Hester, do you, just speaking to that issue, I'm looking again at the language on page 19, lines 5 through 7.
So that has to do with the whole economic infeasibility waiver, and is part of what the study will help us do. I mean, I think there was some feeling that the way the bill came over from the House, it was a really complex process for the waivers, and whether it was 10 years or 25 years or a simple payback period, that was still in question, and so that's going into the study. But the question specifically about a research, life sciences exemption, I think is somewhere still else maintained in the bill.
The life science exemption is in the bill. It is.
Try to get our economic development going in the state.
Page 4, line 4.
Or building used in life sciences. Online, yep.
Okay, page 4, line 4. Okay. Okay, let's take some more questions here. Senator Carrozza, let's start with you. We'll just, until I hear bells, let's just ask questions.
So with the exemptions, I see all the federal exemptions. Does this also exempt like the county public safety buildings and emergency management and those? I mean, for instance, I'm thinking in Worcester County, we have our emergency services in our county building, and it seems to me they would be exempt.
There's not a specific exemption in the bill right now for county buildings. There is an exemption for state infrastructure buildings, but not for county.
It seems like if we're exempting the federal government and the state, we should exempt the counties.
Exactly.
I don't know. My preference with these exemptions, they're still scattered throughout I mean, it looks overly complex when we've amended a House amendment, but I was trying, I wanted just to have like a list of exempt buildings. And so I think we can work on that.
So let's work on, because I think, again, a lot of the bill's been stricken, but if you just, if we were able to just have a document that tells us what exactly we've exempted, like even on this biotech thing, it was not that easy to find the language, but.
So I think that in the drafting, again,
Yeah.
as Senator Hester indicated, the drafter was drafting to the House bill as amended, so it's easier to, what I would suggest doing is there's a definition for covered building, and there's a definition for what the covered building does not include. And so we could move those definitions into, we can move those exemptions into that section.
Yeah, I think that's what, so you're talking about moving them all to page 19?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
putting aside the look of the bill, let's talk about the merits of the bill, which is significantly different than, absolutely different than the House, the departmental bill we heard.
Could I speak to that just for a
Yeah,
second?
absolutely, yes. So let's go to Senator Hester, and then we'll go to the vice chair.
So there was some confusion about, doing direct greenhouse gas emission reductions or energy intensity, targets. And those are both kind of mentioned CSNA, but slightly differently. What the study does, and then there's some states do one, some states do another, some people do both. I think DC might, I can't remember. But Montgomery County does just the EUI. And if you set a certain level of EUI, you're bound to get the same kind of direct greenhouse gas reductions. I felt like with this, it seems slightly premature and very complicated at a time when we might be heading into a recession to try to do both, because there were economic waivers and alternative compliance, things for both. So the study says, let's look at the costs and benefits and try to achieve the least cost solution, try to get the building energy to come down for the least cost possible, maybe using a simple payback. But the study will say, here's what it looks like with just EUI, here's what it looks like with just direct greenhouse gas emissions, and here's what it looks like with a combination of both. And how does that impact the building owners? How does that make for management of the, the program by the state? And what's kind of the bottom line in terms of the energy savings and the cost? And we would get that in 2 years. Now, they're already benchmarking the direct greenhouse gas emissions. So what they would, or the energy use intensity. And so it's a little more work for the department to integrate into that so it gets all of this information. And I think we will have a long-term better program for the state if and we're not pushing back our deadlines. It still says 2030 we're going to start, but we're not pushing back any deadlines. We're just going to get this additional study by 2020, at the end of 2026, so we can move full steam ahead 2027 to 2030. But the thing is, Montgomery County's got to start in 2027 or 2028. So we have to make crystal clear that they are exempt beforehand, so those building owners in Montgomery County can do what they need to do to comply with Montgomery County in the meantime. I think.
Yeah, we've got folks from Montgomery here, but let's get some questions. We've got the vice chair, Garrett Fitzgerald from Vice Chair Kagan, and then Senator Watson.
I can talk to Devin offline.
Okay. Ron Watson, Senator Ron Watson is up next.
So this is not prospective, right? This would pull everybody in line to meet these standards. Is that correct? After the study, technically. But
After the study, I mean, sometimes it's a fault of mine, but I like data to make decisions with. So we'll get the study in 26, and then we will have a chance to look at it during the 2027 legislative session, and then the department will start rulemaking in 2027.
yeah, so I guess the thing that just jumps out at me is if I look at everything that's exempt, all the federal buildings, all the schools, the hospitals, all of these things, they don't have to change or alter behavior at all, right? And so now we're just going to go after the other big businesses, non-state and local government-owned property, to get them to go to a new standard with a mechanism to measure so that we can make some decisions. The issue that I've always had with all of this stuff, we exclude some people, and then we're holding this other group accountable when the cumulative stuff that they all admit is all a part of the problem. And, you know, I would just love for somebody to say, out of all these buildings right now, do a snapshot. What is the percentage that are excluded from this? You know, is it 30% of stuff? Is it 10%? I just don't have a way to know that, you know, going through this process, which makes sense, really is going to get to what we need to, because we can't change the behavior of everybody. I guess that's what I'm struggling with in my head.
Well, let me just say, and Sarah, and obviously, we've got folks here, we're not going to have time, but, you know, a lot of these exemptions, for example, the hospitals, and I'm looking at some of the hospital systems in the back here, it's almost virtually, they've made the case, obviously, over on this side, and actually, I think it was in play with the departmental bill, that it's almost impossible for them to comply. I mean, these are critical infrastructures, and they can't comply, or it's too costly. And so that, you know, it's not like we're just somebody had to make the case to get some exemptions or waivers. So I just wouldn't make the blanket statement that these exemptions were kind of thrown out without some consideration. I wish we had a little more time. We actually could bring some folks up and they could articulate what I just said. But Senator Hester, just maybe to the point of the exemptions, they weren't willy-nilly. They were, you know, somebody had to make the case as to why, as a practical matter.
I was trying to preserve the work that had been done in the House on the exemptions. I did not get into that, you know, specifically, except for the stakeholders lobbying, saying, okay, we're exempt in the House, can we please be exempt in the Senate?
And obviously, if we don't do anything, the bill dies, then
nobody's exempt.
Nobody's exempt, and, you know, that has its own problems as far as, you know, still complying with the Climate Solutions Act provisions. And so this is kind of where we are. Again, we're late in the game, but we didn't have any real ability to do anything till late in the game. So just other questions. And again, since I don't hear any bells yet, I mean, there's specific issues. We've got folks in the back here that I'm not going to make a bill hearing out of this, but just putting some, Vice Chair, I mean, if you want to get something out of it. Okay, so maybe I would suggest you take the reprint. You can make some phone calls. For example, who's here from the hospitals, representing the hospital, either the Maryland Hospital Association, UMS, I mean, okay, Leslie Weber. And I mentioned the AstraZeneca. Okay, yeah, okay, so these are people that, if you got through here, we've got some resources, and I just don't want to belabor it, we don't have the time necessarily. But Senator Watson?
So the first part is the study, right? And then if I look at the fiscal note in its current form, it imposes a mandate on local government, but it's hard to articulate what that is. Does the local government participate in getting the data that this study is asking for, or is it another entity?
I presume that, and Devin might be able to help me out, but I think it's 100 for every covered building, which is defined as a building over 3,000 square feet that meets those criteria or is not exempt, right?
Right.
They have to pay $100 a year for the benchmarking. And so to the extent that local governments are included, they would have to pay per building $100.
Right, no, I'm not talking about the payment, I'm talking about the manpower to get the results that you're talking about.
No, they're not involved, except for the pre-existing county, which would be Montgomery County.
Okay, all right.
You may have hit 35. 35,000, not 3,000, yeah. So these are talking big buildings. Okay, folks, why don't you just do some homework and research on BEPS, the evolution from the departmental bill to the House bill to the reprint. And then when we reconnect, maybe we'll still invite some folks and we'll have a little more time. Maybe we can get some more questions and answers and all that kind of thing. Okay, I think we're going to go to the floor. It's 4:30. Thank you, guys. Sorry, we kind of essentially ran out of time on this one.